Welcome back, Falcon fans. Welcome back. Huddle up. Come on in. Welcome to another episode of Atlanta Falcons Pandemic, the heartbeat of the Dirty Birds faithful, where the fans never waver and the passion never dies. I'm your host, Manuel McFarland, coming to you live from the heart of Falcons Nation. And today is all about the future of the Atlanta Falcons, specifically the first line of defense, that defensive front. More specifically, the gap fillers, the interior linemen, or the beasts of the trenches, if you may call it that. Recently, Atlanta made a controversial move, moving on from Pro Bowl tackle Grady Jarrett. You know how they say history repeats itself in the NFL? Well, sometimes it's less of a repeat and more of a perfect echo. The Falcons may have found their next defensive cornerstone in an undrafted free agent who mirrors Grady Jarrett's explosive play style. We're talking about a player whose story, whose measurables, whose relentless motors are so eerily similar to a franchise legend that will have you taking a double take. For the Atlanta Falcons, that echo is getting louder by the day. Every day after a practice, you hear about this young man. But think back to about a decade ago. The Falcons drafted a defensive tackle out of Clemson in the fifth round. All the scouts said he was fierce competitor, a technician with a nonstop motor, but at the end of the day, he was just too small to really dominate in the trenches. That player who needs no introduction, our hometown hero, Grady Jarrett, who went on to become a two-time Pro Bowler and the heart of the Atlanta defense for 9 seasons. Now let's jump on fast forward to today. The Falcons, for the first time in a decade, don't have their iconic number 97. Grady Jarrett, while here, cemented his place as a dominant force on the defensive line, known for his relentless motor, exceptional technique, and the ability to disrupt both the pass and the run game. Jarrett has been a cornerstone for this team since entering the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons just signed an undrafted rookie defensive tackle with the same exact profile. What does those scouting reports say about him? A disruptive, experienced leader with a fantastic first step and a knack for blowing up the backfield and getting to that quarterback. And what's the one knock that everyone is saying about this young man? You already know where it's going. He is just too small. His name is none other than Simeon Barrow. And he's not just walking in Grady Jarrett's footsteps. He's practically a carbon copy. Coming out of the University of Miami, it's all about the U. It's all about the 305. Simeon Barrow has garnered significant attention for his athleticism, power, and football antics. And somehow every team in the NFL let him fall right into Atlanta's lap. Considered the underdog who slipped through the cracks. So how does a guy one analyst called one of the most disruptive interior rushers in this class go completely undrafted? The answer is simple. It's all about the tail of the tape, literally. Standing at about 6'1", weighing around 285 pounds. I think now he's up to about maybe 290, 295. Simeon Barrow just doesn't have the classic build of a NFL defensive tackle. But neither did Grady Jarrett. In a league obsessed with size and length on the D-line, Barrow's frame was an immediate red flag for 31 other teams that saw the measurements, not the player. And don't forget, there was one other player that had those same exact measurables. They said the same thing about him. He was too small. Remember Warren Sapp? Same player, same fierceness. But here's what they missed about Simeon Barrow. Here's what they missed. The guy is a certified playmaker. This wasn't some one-year wonder. Barrow was a constant headache for offenses, first at Michigan State and then at Miami. For 4 straight years, he was a nightmare for opposing guards and centers, piling up at least 3 sacks every season. And he didn't just give those players headaches, guards and centers. He also gave tight ends, offensive tackles, and anybody else that jumped in his way. He gave them the business. He finished his college career with a personal best of 5.5 sacks for the Hurricanes, showing that he was only getting better. Every season, he piled up the sacks. His tape is just a highlight reel for violent hands, an explosive burst, and that relentless chase that coaches absolutely drool over. Same way as Grady Jarrett. And yet, the draft came and went. 257 names were called, and Simeon Barrow wasn't one of them. It's the exact same story that surrounded Grady Jarrett back in 2015. Jarrett, even after a dominant career at a powerhouse school, slid all the way to the 5th round because of almost identical worries about his size. The Falcons gambled on him, and back then, betting on the tape over the prototype went unheard of. Now they must just think they may strike gold in the same place. Let the strike twice with the man who looked just like his clone. When you talk about the Jarrett blueprint, a mirror image, and you lay the scouting profiles with a young Grady Jarrett and Simeon Barrow next to each other, it is spooky and eerily identical. And the comparison is so much deeper than just being undersized. It's all about how they win their matchups. Both of them built their careers on a bedrock of speed, leverage, and flat out better technique. Let's start with the physical stats. Jarrett entered the league at an even 6 foot, 290 pounds. Barrow is listed at 6'1", 285 pounds. Both are considered light for the position, but they flip that into their biggest weapon. Their entire game is built on that explosive step. Go watch the film on both of them. Both Jarrett and Barrow. Actually, I'll be sharing one of his clips anyway. You saw a little bit of it in my intro, but I got one special clip that I want to share with you guys that sold it for me on Simeon Barrow, and I'll show that to you in just a second. Both Jarrett and Barrow fire off the snap, get into the chest of the bigger, slower lineman before they can even get out of their stance. This lets them control the fight, using their natural leverage to get under the pass and just create pure chaos. Even their pass rush moves look just alike. These aren't guys who just bull rush you into the quarterback's lap with raw power. They're technicians. They win with violent hands, quick sweeps, quick first steps, quick swipes of the arm, and swim moves to shoot the gaps and live in the backfield. Talk about filling and controlling gaps. This guy does it as a defensive tackle and can also move over and line up as an edge rusher, playing DN. Like Grady Jarrett, it seems like he thrives off facing and defeating double teams. Now, remember the clip that I was telling you guys about? I'm going to show that with you. I'm going to put it in I'm going to share it with you, let you see for yourself. Now, these guys here that he's facing over at Cal State. Now, granted, let me pause this for just a second. Granted, Cal State didn't have the best O-line. They did not. Matter of fact, they were darn near at the bottom when it came to the offensive line. But you talk about two players that Simeon Barrow had to face this whole game, and they double teamed him literally to the whole game. And he constantly beat these two guys getting to the quarterback, just disrupted everything that Cal wanted to do. And this play here almost mimicked what he did to them the whole game. Now, both of this offensive guard and this offensive tackle were primarily built the same. 6'5", 6'6", close to 300 pounds apiece. I think they were just shy of 300 pounds. But either way it go, these two guys were I'm not gonna say manhandled because but if you look at the tape, you can decide for yourself or go back and look at other footage and decide for yourself. But he literally manhandled these guys and he literally beat them. I mean, the whole game it was like this. I went back and watched it on YouTube, guys. Um, I didn't want to run into any copyright infringement, so I just used this clip right here, and I may uh, share that clip or show that game, parts of that game later in another video. But right now, guys, I'm gonna show you this, and it was constant for Cal State. They could not stop him. He was all over the field. One specific play I will share with you. Uh, he lined up as an edge rusher. He ran a stop play. Stop play, and he came all the way around the defensive tackle to get through the A gap. That's how fast this young man is. I'm sorry, I did not look up his 40 time. But like I said, I don't dive into the 40 speed at all. I'm more of a smart on the field guy, uh, and that football speed. So, but guys, you talk about two offensive guard, offensive tackle, 6'5", 6'6", almost 300 pounds apiece, and he sliced through them like butter, or like they weren't even standing there. And it wasn't like they were confused on the play. They knew they had to double team him. And like I said, it happened all game. Take a look at it again. And it wasn't like nobody thought the other half. Both of them were to double team this guy. And it did not happen at all. They could not stop him. That quarterback had to run from Simeon just about that whole game, just about. And this is what we have picked up in undrafted free agent. I cannot understand how this guy slipped through the ranks and didn't get picked up at no rounds. Wasn't even considered one of the best going down through the remaining best going down through the rounds. Nobody even thought to take a second look, third look, fourth look. And defensive tackles and edge rushers were in demand, well, a very dire need in the draft. But nobody thought to pick up this guy. I hope this guy makes everyone eat their words. But like I said, he is that Grady Jarrett clone, and I love this guy. I hope he does what he's supposed to do. I think he's going to be able to do. He's already underestimated, underrated. And let's just look at it one more time before I take it down. But I can't wait till I do my next piece on the entire defense, guys, and I will show you more footage on him. But an NFL draft analyst, analyst Lance Zierlein, he pointed out that Barrow's size issue, but he highlighted his good upper body power to shed a tackle, and his fit in a defense could weaponize his quickness. The exact same strength that made Grady Jarrett a star in Atlanta. His ability to penetrate offensive lines and his knack for making plays in the backfield have drawn comparisons to some of the game's best interior linemen. I compared him to only two guys in history, and that's Grady Jarrett and Warren Sapp. Barrett's collegiate performance suggests he has all the necessary tools to succeed at the next level. The numbers tell a parallel story too. So don't think that we just out here promoting this guy and he don't have anything to back it up. His numbers are there. Barrow's consistent production in college, which peaked with the 5.5 sack season, looks a lot like Grady Jarrett's own disruptive college career. But maybe the most telling number is one that boils down pure athleticism. He has an insane RAS score, RAS, a relative athletic score or a 9.04, and the highest you can get is a 10. So it's 9.04 out of 10. Any score over 9.0 is considered elite. For a player labeled undersized, that's proof that he is explosive, top tier. And once again, I cannot understand how he fell out of the draft. It's the kind of number that really makes you scratch your head and wonder, how did he not get drafted? With so many teams that needed edge rushers and defensive tackles. Maybe they saw something that we didn't see, or I don't see. But talking about seizing the opportunity in Atlanta for Barrow, signing with the Falcons wasn't just about finding a team. It was about finding the perfect situation at the perfect time, and we have both of those for him. Now, they recently signed his deal. I think it was 2-year, 3 point something million, or was it 3 years, 2 million? Either way it go, we have this guy for a while for a great steal, and that's what we did. We stole this guy, and he's not the only one we stole in this draft, guys. We've stolen when it comes to the undrafted free agent. We've stolen a couple of guys. So I hope these guys work out for us, and improve our defense. But like I said, he's the perfect guy for the perfect situation at the perfect time. So let's hope he makes the best of his opportunity. The Falcons defensive line is going through a massive overhaul. It has went through a massive overhaul. For the first time in a decade, Grady Jarrett isn't on the roster, which leaves a huge hole in their production, and maybe more importantly, their leadership. And Grady Jarrett wasn't a boisterous guy when it came to leadership, but he led by example. And that's what I took. I mean, that's what I absolutely loved about Grady Jarrett. He led by example. He was consistent the whole time he was here. He was no sack monster, but when it came to filling the gap, getting to the quarterback, he may not have the sack numbers to show for it, but he has disrupted a lot of plays. And that's what I'm expecting, and hopefully, from this young man, Simeon Barrow. I mean, I have no doubt about it that he won't get this done. This means it's an open competition for spots in the interior. And we actually went back and brought back several players too from last year's undrafted free agents and practice squad that were also D linemen. So they will have an opportunity to make this team as well. But like I said in my last video, we are deep at just about every position. It's going to be a monster of a job for Raheem Morris and Jeff Albright to get this roster down to 53 players, guys. They're going to have their hands full. And I'm almost certain that any player that we put on that practice squad, they would not be there for long, depending on what position is put out there. But the current group is already on the speed, built for speed and disruption more than pure size. Guys like David Onyemata, Ruka Rohoro, Morgan Fox, along with Brandon Dorless, are all quick, penetrating linemen, not just massive, not just filling the holes, but these are guys that can get to the quarterback. Just imagine what they're going to be able to do as a team once they get everybody in place. The Falcons are building a defensive front with interchangeable athletes who can attack from anywhere. And I'm not going to say what I take from that, and they are absolutely correct on this, because every lineman that we have on squad now can play edge rusher, defensive end, defensive tackle, and or nose guard. Every last one of them. All four, let's say all five defensive front guys that we have can also stand up and play edge rusher, can also play defensive end. All of them have that experience there. So the Falcons will be able to show these show offenses all different kind of looks that will confuse the heck out of some offensive fronts and irritate these offensive coordinators. So I can't wait to see what Jeff Albright will be able to get from these guys. Jeff Albright is a guy that can get the most out of any player. Just about every, I'm gonna say just about every defense that he has coached, he has brought out Pro Bowlers, multiple Pro Bowlers, not just one. So I can't wait to see what he does with this squad here. But anyway, y'all remember Caden Ellis and how he bursted on the scene? It seemed like he was almost impossible to stop. Guess what? He did that because our interior linemen in the trenches were getting the job done, getting those gaps open. Because for sure, Caden Ellis couldn't do it by himself. He didn't have to take on those blocks most of the time. A lot of the times, it was like he was running the ball. He went through the gap to get to that quarterback or to that running back before the play didn't even develop. But he got that done because players like Grady Jarrett and Ruko Roro was doing their job up front in the trenches. We expect to see a whole lot more of that this year, guys. Barrow fits right into this philosophy. Just imagine him taking on the double team like Grady Jarrett had to do. That opens up holes for Ruko Roro. If Simeon have to consistently take on double teams, or if Ruko Rojo have to take on double teams, or if Brandon Dorless have to take on double teams, you have to account for players like that. Players like Ruko Rojo and Simeon Barrow. You have to account for players who have motors that are nonstop. And Ruko Rojo, Barrow, Brandon Dorless, all three of those guys have nonstop, literally nonstop motors. They go all the time. It's like they thrive on being tired. It's like the more tired they get, the better they get. And that's what we have on those three guys that I named right there. You remember Brandon Dorless when he was up at when he was in Oregon? It was like nonstop. He celebrated so much. We were like, hey man, save that energy. But no, not Brandon. Brandon was ready to go again. And that's what we have on this defensive front now. Something we haven't had in years. Now, we can go back a couple of years when Ryan Nielsen was here, and when he had that defensive front playing kind of solid. I think this squad right here can actually be better than that. I really do. But Barrow's potential lies in his explosiveness off the snap and his versatility on the defensive line. And like I said, it goes back to him being able to play defensive end or edge rusher. Can you imagine James Pierce Jr. and Simeon Barrow playing next to each other? Or James Pierce Jr. and Ruko Rojo standing on the same side of the line? Like I said, guys, we can show these guys all different kind of looks. They don't know how we're going to play. They'll have to look deeper into the defensive backfield to see how we line up to try to dictate or try to gather what we're doing. Because that defensive front is going to be able to show them all kind of looks, whether we're playing the 3-4 or the 4-3. And one thing to note is that this defensive tackles that we have now, all of them have experience in both defenses, whether it's a 3-4 or the 4-3. Neither one of you guys specialize in either one of them. Now I'm gonna put a little bug in your ear. You remember the Grits Blitz? That is exactly how that team was built. No guys specialized in the 3-4. No guys specialized in the 4-3. You had a bunch of guys that could go get it. And that Grits Blitz was a bunch of guys, no-name guys. I think the only one that was like really well-known at the time was Claude Humphrey. Everybody else came after that. But that Grits Blitz was a bunch of guys who made a name for themselves when they got the opportunity. And that's what we have today, guys. But of course, this also means that competition will be intense in camp. It's going to have to be a battle for a roster spot against guys with similar skills because we can't keep everybody. But his shot at making the final 53-man roster really comes down to two things. First, he has to prove that his pass rushing translates to the NFL or to the NFL level right away. And second, he has to show he can hold his ground against the run, which is a big question mark for a defensive end that is a whole built on the lighter side. Now, the Falcons did solidify one thing, that he's going to be here with that contract. You don't sign a undrafted free agent this early. With that contract, he's going to be here whether he gets a lot of playing time this year or the next. He is built for the future of this Falcons defense. If he can add some good functional strength without losing that trademark quickness, he won't just be a camp body. He'll really be a significant part of this equation, which I think he already is. However, expecting a seamless replacement of Jarrett by Barrow right from the start might be overly ambitious. And I am overly, I'm talking about way ambitious for him to do that. But he does need time to develop continuity within a defensive line that's already young. And that's what I like about this defensive front, guys. It's a bunch of a group of young guys that can be built for the future, that can grow for the future. Now, this is year 3, right? I think it is, yeah, year 3 since Terry Fontenot said that he's going to have this team built in 2 to 3 years. And I think he has that right here in this nucleus. We may lose 1 or 2 people, maybe. But this young team here is our team for the future, basically. So we're in a real good spot. But like I said, he has to put himself in position to be a significant part of this equation. And that equation is called the Jeff Albright effect. That's what I called it, guy. That ain't what it's called, but that's what I called it. It's a scheme built for disruptors. And that's what we have in the trenches. A whole bunch of disruptors. What makes Barrow fit in Atlanta even more exciting is the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Albright. Albright, who has coached in Atlanta before and most recently with the Jets, is known for running flexible and multiple defensive fronts. He isn't a guy who gets stuck in a rigid 4-3 or 3-4 scheme. That's what I was talking about earlier, guys. He doesn't. They're all the players that he has to work with. None of them are specialists in 4-3. None of them are specialists in 3-4. These are basically guys who just get the job done in the trenches. He wants to be versatile, Jeff Albright. He wants to be versatile, create confusing look for the offense, and most importantly, build a scheme around what his players do best. But the thing about that is all the players that he have are interchangeable on both sides of the line. All of them can play on the right side or the left side. All of these players are versatile. So we can swap around and put on one play, put James Pierce Jr. and Ruco Rojo on one side, and then turn around on the other side and flip them on that side as well, and still possibly, hopefully, get the same results. A stop, a good stop. But all of these players can play on both sides of the line. Brandon Dorless surely can do it. They were popping that joker, or in Oregon, they were using him everywhere. Nose guard, defensive tackle, edge rusher, defensive end. Even had him at linebacker a couple of plays, which was crazy to me. But you talk about interchangeable versatility. We've never had that in Atlanta before. That we have it down. But this is incredible news for players like Simeon Barrow. And Albrigh's system, a unique player isn't a problem. He is a weapon. Barrow's talent for shooting gaps and causing disruption is exactly the kind of thing Albright loves to use and generate pressure. After years of struggling to get after the quarterback, the Falcons are starving for players who can do just that. And Barrow's entire college career was built on that. Albright has talked about how modern defenses have to be able to adapt. Upon his hiring, he said it's really forced us from a defensive standpoint to get more publicity, multiplicity, and all that we do, front wise, coverage wise, all of that. He wants to create something really unique and new. But already off the bat, one thing new that we have here on defense is speed and a bunch of it. Through from the cornerback, safety, in the trenches, these guys can flat out move. Now, will that help our tackling? You best believe it, because all of these guys are known for getting that runner to the ground or getting the ball carrier to the ground. Hopefully, it'll be more than more the quarterback going to the ground than running backs and wide receivers, tight ends. Now that's going to be the trick, getting the coverage on the tight end, which I will cover in my linebacker video probably in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be the trick, getting coverage on that tight end. But I'm already sold on the fact that our trench work is secure. I'm already sold on it. We have the fast players, we have the strong players, players of technique. We have that. Simeon Barrow fits right in on that. The fearless, the ferocious hands. That's him. You guys saw the clip with the double team, right? Remember that? Yeah. And he fits right in. A player like Barrow, he breaks the traditional mold, first of all, like Grady Jarrett did. But he's a perfect ingredient for that kind of creative defense. While his run defense is a valid concern, like they say, run defense, if he can get to the quarterback, I could care less about his run defense. And he did that all through his college career. The thing is about that run defense, guys, Simeon Barrow has a relentless motor. He never gives up. And like I said, when I share the other footage, you guys will see, even though he's double teamed, he fights out of that double team, and he managed to be either in on the tackle or around in that area. He's close. So he may not stop, but he will occupy other players. Like I said, they have to account for a player like Simeon Barrow, and the only way they can account for him is to double team him. He has that much foot speed, jump off speed, quick start, like Grady Jarrett. You have to account for him. But in Jeff Albright's package, I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to utilize Simeon Barrow if and when he starts getting playing time. But in conclusion, guys, the story of Simeon Barrow is the kind of underdog tale that makes football so great. He's a player who was completely overlooked because he didn't check all the right boxes, only to land in the one city where his predecessor, a guy with the exact same flaw, became a franchise icon. You can't ignore the parallels. The size, the playing style, the nonstop motor. It's a blueprint the Falcons have seen before, and Grady Jarrett. But look, let's be real. While Simeon Barrow shows immense promise, replacing a player like Grady Jarrett is no small task. Comparing an undrafted rookie to a two-time Pro Bowler is a massive leap. Barrow has yet to play a single down in the NFL, but you can't deny the potential. He's just staring it right in the face. His opportunity will come. He's landed in a system with a defensive coordinator whose philosophy is a perfect match for his skills, on a team with a clear need for exactly what he brings to the table. Barrow undoubtedly has the talent to thrive in the NFL, but his success would depend on how well he adapts to the professional stage and whether the team provides an environment conducive to his growth. Simeon Barrow has one of the most effective interior pass rushers in college football, and now with Grady Jarrett gone, he has a real shot to make a name for himself in Atlanta. Ultimately, Barrow can be a successor to Jarrett, but a direct replacement in the immediate future will likely involve growing pains. Every other team saw a defensive tackle who was way too small. The Falcons saw a chance for lightning to strike twice in the same place. But now I want to hear from you, Falcon fans. Do you think Simeon Barrow can beat the odds and become the next great undersized D tackle for the Falcons? Is he really a Grady Jarrett clone? Is it just a coincidence, or are we getting way ahead of ourselves? Or till I say, am I getting way ahead of myself? Because I surely think he is. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want more dives into the Atlanta Falcons' most interesting underdog stories, make sure you subscribe to this channel for even more great content. And as always, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, taking a moment to hit that like button, share this video. And most of all, I enjoy your comments, so keep them coming. But once again, thank you guys for joining, taking the time to watch this video. And until next time we're able to get together and rise up, peace. Huddled up, Atlanta Falcons fans. This is Emmanuel, aka Cowboy. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications so that you can be notified when we drop future content that you may also enjoy. So until then, thanks again, and see you at the Super Bowl. Rise up.